Hi everybody, and welcome to episode 169 of the RoadKnits podcast. My name is Cori Eichelberger and I go by RoadKnits everywhere on the internet. And iRock is just Cori spelled backwards. You don't know how many times this week I've said that. I have been teaching all the time. So for the last 2 weeks I have taught Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. So I have been all over the Twin Cities here teaching, which I love. But that means I'm not getting anything done at home as far as designing goes. And that's fine. It's always been my goal to teach more, and I'm getting asked more and more. And so it's really exciting. I'm just super tickled about that. But guess what? The new Gudrun Schoden catalog is out, and at my house, that is a cause for celebration. This is the most beautiful catalog. Look at these colors. Look at this color. This is not like Cori colors. Oh my gosh. If you haven't gone over and signed up for this catalog, yes, the clothes are expensive, but get them on sale. They have them on clearance. There's stuff on clearance all the time. We have a new outlet in Minnesota in St. Louis Park. So if you're local, you can go over there and check out the outlet. And they have home wears. They have organic cotton dresses. Lots of colors, but she does neutrals too. There's a whole section in here of blue and black and gray, but she does colors really well. I love her palette. I love everything that she does. Everything is mix and match, highly washable. You just throw it in the wash. It comes out lovely. There's not a lot of pressing. There is some swimsuit and swimwear in this. If you're blues and greens. She puts pants and leggings under everything for comfort, but you don't have to, you don't have to do that. Oh my gosh, look at the orange centerfold. I'm just so happy. I can't wait to shop. She's just got glorious things to look at. So Gudrun Schoden. I just had to share that because it just came in the mail. And speaking of just coming in the mail, I got a skein of Fleece and Fiberworks, Kingdom Fleece and Fiberworks, who I did an advent design for a couple of winters ago. She had this new color come out and she sent me a message on Instagram because orange and raspberry. And I said yes. And she said, I'll send you a skein. I said, no, I'll go buy a skein. It's no problem. So I purchased a skein of Nor'easter. None of the skeins are exactly alike because she spun colors together, but they're very similar in tone. There are some lights and some brights, and it is just really pretty. The care instructions are hand wash only. It is East Coast wool, so it is a farm yarn. It is woolly wool. I may order another skein and do my farm yarn shawl with it. That is what I'm thinking. I should have asked her for that in the beginning. It didn't even dawn on me. As soon as she sent it, I went and bought it. I just bought a skein. I didn't think to buy two, but I would like to knit up the farm yarn shawl in this, I think. So I may go order another one. So yeah, and if you don't know her story, she had a terrible accident back in the day and almost lost her life. And she bought a spinning mill and lives on a farm-like area with beagles who track. They do competitions with tracking in the woods and stuff. So really fun. She's just got a really neat story. So you can go over to her website and read that. But it is Kingdom Fleece and Fiberworks. Okay, you'll just have seen the interview I did with Alea Ellison, and wasn't that fun? Doesn't she have a lot going on? And yeah, and if you haven't gone back and watched the interview with Teresa of Get Bent's Farm, go do that right now. Turn this off, don't watch me. Because that interview has gotten more positive feedback. Her energy and her information, I am just getting tons of positive reviews about that interview, probably more than I've had in many years. So tell your friends, tell your family, whoever doesn't know anything about sheep farming, tell Grandpa and Grandma to go sit down and watch it because, yeah, it's just really fascinating, everything she has going on the farm. Our next Zoom book club date is April 21st. You still have plenty of time to read this little bitty book that I cannot wait to talk to people about. It's called Clear by Carys Davies, and it is a story of a man who goes out to kick a farmer off an island off the coast of England. That is his job. He has taken on this job, and he gets out there and has an accident and ends up spending a much longer period of time with this man on this island who has never lived anywhere else. And the outcome is fascinating, and I just want to chat with people about it. So it's a very short book. I think it was maybe a 4 or 5 hour audiobook. So yeah, let's talk on April 21st, 7 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'll put the Zoom link in the Patreon. I'll put a post up, and then you can just click over on that night. And then we're having Knit Night in May on May 12th from 7 to 8 p.m. as well. And we just come and we share. We had a good group this last time, a big group of Patreons who came over, and we just share what we're knitting. And within like no time, the hour's over, you just knit for an hour. Today I'm wearing my Fiber Friend shawl in my absolutely favorite colorway. I just think this is stunning. This is Suburban Stitcher. It is orange and raspberry. It could not scream me more. And this is a linen dress from Gudrun Schoden. I wore it to church this morning. It's got pockets and kind of a V at the waist. It's so comfortable. I can just throw it on. It's big and baggy. And the music in church this morning. Now, we are liberal Lutherans in our church, so we rock it out a little bit. We pray for everyone, but we have a good time. We have a praise band, and they were just moving this morning. People were swaying and singing, and it's so uplifting to hear good music, just really good music. And we got out early. So we got home, we got our breakfast made. We made eggs and English muffins, and Ross had bacon. I didn't. Too much food for me at first thing in the morning. Well, it's not early. We don't go till 10:30. But so we got home, and then we did some stuff around here. We bought the trashy boxes that you send in your clothes that you want to donate, and they recycle them as opposed to having them go to landfills. But they also take electronics. And so I had ordered 2 boxes. When you do it for the first time, you get a coupon code when you sign up on their website. Otherwise, it's $20, and you get 2 boxes that you can put everything in, and they will recycle it. So we put cords and old phones and jacks and speaker stuff from the basement. Oh my goodness. We filled 2 boxes, and we are getting that sent in today. Boy, does that feel good. I mean, just getting rid of some stuff. Every few months, my husband and I say we need to go to the basement, clean out the basement, because we have a full load. Probably not only garbage load because we put empty boxes down there, but also just donations. And that is where stuff has gone to just hide from us. And we still haven't gotten it done. But I've been in a mood. I've been in a mood of tidying and cleaning and organizing and putting things in different places. I reorganized the kitchen counters this week. I am just feeling like spring. I want things to happen. I reorganized my closet, and I hung some hooks. I bought those sticky hooks, and I put them on the inside of the closet doors, and I hung some projects to be cast on next inside so I could shut those doors, but they were up off the floor in the closet. Oh, it just feels so good to get some of that stuff done, right? Like, oh, so tell me if you're doing any spring cleaning or any, kind of spring organization around your house in the comments down below. Let's talk what we can do to. Ross cleaned out the refrigerator this morning. Oh, my English muffins had expired. He bought new ones, but I don't eat them that often, but I really like to have one now and then. And so I don't care if they're expired. It doesn't bother me because it's a best buy date. It's not a this has gone bad and you're going to get very, very sick date. I just eat one the other day. So just love a good English muffin with little peanut butter and jam on it. Well, it's just one of my favorite things that I'll have for lunch, and usually with a couple of eggs. This morning I made my eggs with cottage cheese, which if you've never done that, even if you hate cottage cheese, that curd kind of melts down in the pan when you heat it, and it adds so much protein, and it just makes them delicious. Oh, I just love eating my 2 eggs that way. big scoop of cottage cheese mixed right in, just like you were gonna use milk or cream or something to make some scrambled eggs. So I just mix it right in. It keeps you full all day when you have, that way you don't have to eat 4 eggs to just get a little tired of it. Let's talk about a finished object. This is the Bistro by Laura Aylor, and it is using Rhichard Devreize yarn in Fynn. The yarn is called Fynn. I have had this in my stash forever. It does have quite a bit of variegation in. It looks, there's a little shadow right here, but it's not light and dark like it's looking in the picture. It has just a raglan. It has a little 2 purl rows right here and 2 purls right here. Like super simple knit, nothing fancy going on. Like 3/4 length sleeves, it is what it called for. Just easy. The colorway is called Regret Rien. Oh, I'm not French, but it means I don't regret anything. And I met him at a show, gosh darn, when was that? Must have been Stitches, when Stitches was last in Chicago, which would have been a long time ago. It's yarns by Rhichard Devreize. It's R-H-I instead of Rhichard, like we would say in the US. So, and this is also a natural fiber. He does hand dyeing of natural fibers. His site says including wool, silk, alpaca, mohair, possum, cashmere, and more. There are several yarn stores that carry his yarn, Threads and You, but I just opened my phone and look at this glorious colorway in his Fynn hot flushes. Isn't that beautiful for me? So I did look it up and I bought it at Stitches Midwest in 2018, and it has been a sweaters quantity in my stash since then. I looked at several different sweaters to knit it out of over the years. And now I can't wait to wear it because we're going into spring and I think it'll be perfect. A Gunflint Pines headband. To remember when we had RoadKnits on, Jamie Rex, last summer I interviewed her, and she does all the bulky yarns on her website. She sells all the beautiful bulky yarns, and I bought a bunch of bulky yarns and a bunch of, well, this is chunky, this is Malabrigo chunky, and a bunch, I bought like 3 of her patterns. She also sells patterns on Ravelry, and I just wanted to get these kind of cast on. And as I was ordering some more chunky yarn, I got this yarn in the mail. I started winding it up and I went into my closet and I had already bought it. So I had already bought like 5 skeins of chunky yarn, and I want to make all the Christmas presents, so I just want to mix and match all the colors. This one turned out a little small. I needed to go up a needle size and I didn't have a 10.5 16-inch cord. So I used a 10, so it's a little small, but I have nieces, younger nieces, so I think that would be okay. It's awfully tall too, but it will definitely, you know, it'll be a good ear cover. And then I cast on 2 more because these are now become my car knitting, because I do think I will get the pattern kind of memorized for this one that has the little pine tree on it. This one is called the Gunflint Pines hat and Gunflint Pines headband, and they're sold separately, and she has 1 in bulky and 1 in chunky, and so I also have some chunky yarn. The next one I'm doing is blue with green and gold, so I'm just going to kind of continue to mix and match the colors, but I knit on that one in church this morning and I almost got to the very top. They just work up so quickly. And so I'm just taking these along with me in the car, because I usually can't do my design work in the car or at knitting groups. Like, I'm usually needing to take notes and stuff. And so I thought, won't I be happy with myself? And wouldn't we all, if we got to Christmas and we had some things already made. So currently I have 3 that are coming off and on the needles quite quickly, which is awesome, just great. And I love that sense of instant gratification, right? That you just get something done quite quickly. I did start my Alpine Bloom sweater as well, and I wanted to get that to the place where I got all the yoke done, and then I could move on to the body. So I haven't really added a whole lot. I'm not going to show it, but I want to get to the body before I take a couple trips in April, because then I can just do stockinette in the round, like when I'm on the airplane. We're going to San Diego. My husband has a conference, and his best friend lives out there from high school. And so we are going to go out. They remodeled, almost reconstructed a new home, and we have not seen it, and they've been in it for a couple of years. So we need to get out there so that we can, so we're going to go to the conference, and then we're going to drive up to their house and see them for that weekend in April. So I'm excited about having some time on a plane and time in a car, and just getting away a little bit. I'm so thankful that Ross is taking me along. What have I been watching? Oh my gosh, not too much, but I'll keep it brief. I've finished watching Tennison, which I think was just one season on PBS. That was really good. I'm kind of sad that it didn't get picked up again. The young girl who wants to be a police officer is kind of out of her element a little bit, and it maybe felt a little low budget. You know, those first seasons sometimes, like Gilmore Girls, when their first season, you could just kind of tell there was no real backing and money. And then I started watching Shannon Makes on YouTube, and she's a crafter, but she's rehabbing an old house, and it's really good. I really am enjoying that. I love anybody who's doing that kind of work. I watched another episode with Ross in the kitchen. So he's the guy, Skote Outdoors on YouTube, and he's the guy who is rehabbing a really rundown cabin house on an island off Newfoundland. And now he has his girlfriend up there with him, and they got goats today. This morning when we were cooking breakfast, I said, let's turn on Skote. And they got 4 female goats, and they built this enclosure up on the hill behind their house because they want milk. And so they got goats. So now they're figuring out goats. So that's kind of fun. And then I watched that new show, Adolescence, on Netflix. And boy, is that hard. It's really hard to watch. The 13-year-old boy gets arrested for murder, and his family is just devastated. This takes place in England, but it has to do with young people and social media and getting bullied, and the way that some kids are treating one another online. And yeah, it's really, really intense and sad. It's 4 episodes, I believe, and I did finish it. Yeah, it's really hard. The parents go through a lot. The kids going through a lot when they arrest him. And they're all just like, this can't be happening. You know, he couldn't have done it. He's like, I didn't do it. Yeah. And then they interview all these kids, and they all know what's been going on social media behind the scenes, and the adults don't. So definitely a watch for people who have children and grandchildren, to make you think. I have a couple of different things to show all of you, things that I saw on the internet this week. They added the word steek to the old English dictionary. There was an article in the Shetland News, and a woman on Instagram reposted it because she's from Shetland. She lives in 2 places, Shetland and the US maybe, and she proposed the word steek. Your lace knitting key term makes it into Oxford English Dictionary. Yeah. And then I saw this fun way to sew a button on. They just sewed a little flower into the button band. So it's a French knot with 3 little stems. Is that not just cute? Oh, I'm gonna put this on my wall in the office so I remember the next time I make a baby sweater or kid sweater or even a sweater for me, I might sew my buttons on that way. I thought that was really clever. Then I read an article in The Economist about a woman who was the oldest known Holocaust survivor, And she died at the end of February at the age of 113. And she was a stitcher and she was a knitter. And it says, the name of the article was Stitch by Stitch, Rose Jerome Kept Her Family Going. And it was a lovely obituary about this woman. And so you could go out and take a look at that article, but I'll also have it linked in the show notes. So that was kind of a neat one. And then if you have not gone over to Knitflix, she is got a blog, I would assume that, or a website, where she's doing the Sweet 16, but she started out with 64 sweaters, and we're narrowing it down to the best sweater of the year in March. But she took 64 sweaters from movies and TV, and she paired them up similar, like all cables together, all cardigans together. It is so much fun to go in and do the poll and pick the one you like, and then right away you get added in to see if yours is in first or not. Oh, you need to go over. So the Modern Daily Knitting newsletter featured it today or yesterday, I can't remember, but I opened it today. And so then I clicked through, and her name is Knitflix, and you just go to the this week, because she's doing 64 teams in 4 categories and going down to the winner. And so you get to do, I did 2 weeks worth because I was behind, I think. And I voted, and then it's narrowing it down. It's really fun. It's really fun to see all the sweaters that she chose from all of the movies. I mean, come on, coming up with 64 sweaters from TVs and movies. So highly recommend you go over. She is an entertainment journalist and film and TV critic by nature. I mean, not by her job. Why can't I think of the word? And so here are the rounds of all the things she's doing. And then you get down here and you click, and then you get to vote. And she puts the pictures of which ones you get to vote on. Yeah, it's really fun. Those are the 2 pictures, and then you go down and you just vote. So yeah, I highly recommend. I think if you just Googled Knitflix, it would come up, but I had 5 minutes this morning of just joy looking at sweaters and voting, and some of mine won and some of mine didn't. 2 of my friends recently have crocheted those giant octopus. And you have to be pretty gung-ho to crochet 8 tentacles, if you ask me, but I'm gonna put pictures in. First, my friend Mary from Knitting Group crocheted hers, and on the wall where we knit is a kind of moving picture thing that has like the deep sea in it. So we propped her octopus up in front of it and took a picture of it, and it turned out so cute. And then my friend Stacy knit one maybe in late fall, and so I had seen hers, and then she reknit another one because a friend asked for one. So and they're gigantic. Stacy's are huge, and she uses that chenille blanket yarn. Oh my gosh. So I'll have pictures of both of those in. Stacy's has her dog in it, Maisie, so you can kind of see how big they are. But oh my gosh, if you're a crocheter, I don't know if you want to fall down that rabbit hole or not. I certainly do not. I have a bunch of Cori stories today. Some are short and sweet, and some will be a little bit longer. My mom had a terrible fall. She tripped on a carpet in the garage and went flying across the garage and hit her face and body on the front of my dad's truck. So she flew all the way in front of her van that she was going to. Somehow there's just a space, and she must have stumbled and bashed into my dad's truck. So she broke her glasses, she cut her nose open, she has 2 giant black eyes, big giant knot on her forehead. They went to the ER. She tore all the skin off of her arm, and also tore a 5-inch gash in her knee. And she didn't tear her pants, which is so crazy that you can be bloodied on the inside and not have torn your pants. But her skin is so like crepe paper, and it just tore. So she got stitches in her leg. This is terrible because the skin just peeled back, so there's no skin there to like suture shut. So if you would please hold her in your prayers a little bit. She's healing, more embarrassed than anything that it happened. And she's very unstable on her feet, and she knows. So it's just hard, you know. You get older, and then you have a fall like that, and she's not leaving the house because she looks rough. I feel pretty bad for her. And then I went to Brew and Knit with You, which was another brewery, which I've ever been in a brewery until recently. Now I've been in 2 in 2 weeks. But they had an open knit at this brewery in North Minneapolis area. And so I went up with Matt, and we had a lovely time, just an absolute lovely time. You know, it's a young person's gig. They meet one Sunday a month at different breweries around the metro here, and the energy is so good. You know, I love the energy. I feel like one of the oldest people in the room, which is not true, but you know, there are just so many young people knitting and crocheting. One lady was like cross-stitching a beautiful giant piece. I don't know how she was keeping track of what she was doing, but after about an hour, I got warm at the table we're sitting at. The sun was shining in, and I got a little bored, and I was like, you guys, I'm gonna go talk to people. And they're like, of course you are. So I went around to a bunch of the tables and just said, hey, what are you knitting? What are you knitting? People are so willing to show you, you know. It's so inspirational to just walk around the table. So I'm going around from table to table, and there were, I'm gonna say at least 50 people there. Yeah, I mean, it was really full. And there were lots of there's a big bar, lots of tables, and then a place in the back that you could also go to. But I went over to this table where the man and woman are sitting there, and I say, you know, what are you guys knitting? And he says, oh, I just finished a sweater for my niece. Let me show you. He takes out this beautiful adult sweater, really nicely knit. And he had just finished it, and he had done the Italian sewn bind off, and he was showing us his, you know, and so I said, oh, it's just lovely. And then this woman says to me, oh, I love your sweater. And I had on my pretty boxes, and so I said, oh, thank you, I designed it. And she said, you did? And I said, yeah. And she said, I said, I'm a knitting teacher and designer. And she said, oh, you need to sit down and tell me about this. She said, Scott and I are Minnesota senators. And I was like, what? Like, I haven't met a senator. I haven't even met my senator. But this woman represents the area just north of us, and so she happens to be a Democratic senator. The other senator that was sitting there is the representative for the Uptown area, which is just south of downtown. And it's called Uptown, from Minneapolis, the Minneapolis area. So I'm talking about Minneapolis. And so we chatted for an hour. We had the best talk with these two people about how they're trying to work it out and work with their other colleagues, and how tough things are right now, and people aren't getting along, and how we have to reach across the aisle. And that was lovely. And the whole conversation didn't get, you know, really political. We mostly were talking knitting. So I called Matt over, and I called Alea over, and I'm like, you guys have to meet these people. And so then come to find out, only reason I told you that is that Scott's youngest sister works at IKEA, and Matt, who's been on my podcast many times, is a kitchen designer at IKEA. So then they got to talking, and you know, Matt had just been to Almholt. He had just taken that trip in January for his work, and so they were talking about those things. And Anne was knitting on her first ever sweater, and so she was super excited about that. It was just lovely to sit and chat with people on a sunny Sunday, cold but sunny Sunday afternoon, for a couple of hours, and kind of get to know some new people. And they're just both lovely and really open and willing to chat with, you know, people. And then they said, well, we'd love to come to your knitting group sometime. When do you meet? When do you meet? We told them in Eden Prairie, and on Thursdays. And then they said, well, once session is over, then we can have a life again. But right now we're literally living at the Capitol. So yeah, it was just really neat. And I put a picture up on my Instagram. I said, I need to have a picture. I've never met a Minnesota senator, so I thought it would be kind of fun to have a picture in my phone. So yeah, we took a great picture, and I'll put that And then I have one more story to tell you. So I got an email as well as a text message from a site that said it was arrows.com or something like it, AEROS. And it said, we have found your jewelry that you lost on the plane and we want to ship it to you. And they had a picture of that I had sent into Delta of my jewelry container, the little cylinder bottle thing that I had put my good, and I was over the moon. I was just tickled. I was so excited. I called my parents, I called Kylie, I called Ross, and I went over and typed the link, because I don't click on links, and I typed the link into my computer, and it had the picture, they had my name, they had my address, all this information, and they were not asking for money, and they just said, tell us how you would like it sent. Would you like it sent to be signed for or not to be signed for? And I was like, well, I want to sign for it, right? It's expensive jewelry. So I put that in and I sent it off. And then I said to Ross, I feel like maybe it was a scam. I said, they didn't ask for a credit card. They didn't ask for any money. They had my text, they had my email, they had my address, but it just feels off. So then we went to delta.com, and you can't get anywhere on the Delta site. You can't get, all you get is a form to fill out for the lost and found, but you can't call the lost and found, you can't reach out, you can't. And we got to talking, and Ross said, I'm sure they use a third-party carrier, so they send all that stuff. They don't keep it at the airports, right? Like they just couldn't possibly. I mean, they'll keep some luggage there for a while, but you know, as stuff is found, and this is like 2 months later, but how did they have the picture of my jewelry that I had sent to them? And so we decided that it probably was a scam. And so now we're waiting, because we went to order a new necklace when we were in Sioux Falls a couple of weeks ago. And so we paused on that, and we're just waiting to see if anything shows up. And there's no way to contact this company. There's really no data out there, but I can see that. Like, they don't want people to find out where they are or who they are, because if you lost something, we'd all be showing up on their doorstep, right? So like, it felt really off. So I just wanted to share to see if anybody else has had that experience where you lost something on the plane and they found it and you got information from maybe a third party. There's nothing on the Delta website that says they found anything, but it looked really, it was just like a form. It was very nondescript, but I didn't give them any information or any money. They had it already. So even if they got scammed, wouldn't they, like, I thought maybe they'd ask me, for $1,000 to ship it back. Like, and then he said maybe Delta probably didn't get hacked, but maybe the third party place got hacked. I don't know. Like, it's so weird, and nothing's shown up. And it's been, oh my gosh, it's been two weeks, maybe almost 2 weeks, and nothing has shown up in the mail. So anyway, I don't know what to think. Let me know your thoughts on that, will you? One way or the other. Because I don't know. Maybe someone works for Delta would know if they use a third-party carrier called AERO, like it looked like Aero, like aeroplane, Aero, whatever, AEROUS, something like that, .com, something. I deleted it off my phone because then I got worried. Ross is like, you. So then we called the Geek Squad and we had them take over my computer that next day and make sure that there wasn't any malware on the computer, because I had typed in this site, and they found nothing. They found nothing on my computer. We haven't had any trouble. So I don't know. Maybe they found it and they, I don't know. And would they ship it for free? Would Delta just pick up that cost? I mean, it was this big, I mean, they deliver your luggage if they find it, and then they just drive it to you. But this was going out, so it would be sitting in Arizona somewhere. I don't know. Now I'm just talking, so I'll shut up. Anyway, So there you go. Those are my Cori stories for this week. Let's do the books that I've been reading. The first one I finished was Wandering Stars by Tommy Orange. He's a Native American author, and this was strange. This was, it won an award, and it jumps around in time, and you're following these different characters through what's happening in their lives, and then you're kind of waiting to see that it all comes together. So it was a little disjointed for me. Sometimes that happens when you're listening because you miss the chapter titles and the descriptor of now you're moving on to someone new. And so it could be an audiobook function. Then I listened to Dear Dolly by Dolly Alderton. Oh my gosh, so good, you guys. She is a columnist in England where she answers questions that people write in. And this is the best little book. It made me think. There were so many answers she gave to people that were so thoughtful and so nice and so kind and so understanding, even when you just want to say to the person, well, duh, of course your boyfriend is with with someone else. It's so good. You have to go over Dear Dolly, it's called. And then I finished Close Knit by Jenny Colgan, and that was a book all about knitting. Takes place in a small town. She's 30 years old, and she has not moved out of her mother's house, and she hasn't moved on, and she loves knitting, and she loves her local people, but she's not doing anything with her life. And her father has passed, and her mother is just kind of holding on to her. And she has to make a decision about her life, and something happens where she gets an opportunity to go work temporarily for the airline on the island. I didn't love her as a character because she's really kind of flighty and lives in daydream land. But, if you don't kind of grow up and move out into the world, you can kind of stay naive, and she's quite naive. But the story is lovely. And she goes to work and she does this amazing job. And then there's an emergency at the airline, and so she's working in this grocery store, and she quits the job and she goes to work for the small airline that brings people back and forth to the island, and she's never flown. It's just lovely. I'll shut up. And now I'm listening to The Magic of Lemon Drop Pie by Rachel Linden, and it is so good. I don't want to stop listening to podcast and record or do anything else. I just want to sit and listen. She has all these regrets, and she runs a diner with her dad in the Seattle area, and her mother has passed away. So they similar starts to the books. But she's not a knitter. The other one's all about knitting. But she's a chef, and she has always wanted to open her own organic farm to table restaurant, and she can't do it, and her father doesn't want to. He cooks at the diner, and he's not interested in making changes, and she has this opportunity with these magic lemon drops, and it's just, so far I'm almost done. It's so good. So yeah, I would say 3 out of 4 that I really liked this week. Okay, we have a giveaway to do. The winner of last week's giveaway was the 8 mini skeins, the tape measure, the toggles, the row counter, the ruler, the notions pouch that said life's too short for bad yarn. That goes to Connie Crick, my Patreon member Connie. So congratulations, Connie. And I will get that out in the mail to you. Just send me your address. I wish your addresses were all in Patreon, or it would tell me where you're from, but it doesn't. So all I can do is email and tell you that you won, but you won that big bag of goodies. So that's really exciting. And then this week's giveaway is a whole bag of stuff too, things that people have donated to me. So I got these 2 skeins of ladder, upside down and backwards, of ladder yarn. This is trellis. And these are just fun for kids to play with, but you can also use them as ribbon or string on packages, or you can knit a fun scarf with them if you so inclined. Then there is a skein of this Plymouth Select Superwash Merino in this lovely kind of white cream color. I have a little ruler. That's the last of the rulers, I believe, that I was gifted. I have a magnetic strap. This is really nice. It comes undone, and it would magnet onto any bag you wanted to carry or hook. and it's got a little key thing, and it's a wristlet, and it comes from ATRAC, ATRAC, USA.com. ATRAC, so like attract, I think. That's where it comes from. So if you are looking for a wristlet magnet clip on, really nice, yeah, really strong magnet too, really neat. And so you could clip it onto something, it would hang up, like if you have a metal back door and you want your keys to be there always. And then I sorted stitch markers this week as part of my cleaning up my nest, my little area over there. I found a whole jar of stitch markers. So I sorted them by type and kind, and I put them into little bags. And so you are getting a little bag of stitch markers. One has 1 bead, and then 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. And so if you wanted to mark things, all of your repeats, these are perfect. I put them on a little clip so that they would stay together. I did that with a whole stack. So we have lots of stitch markers going out in the mail to people over the next few weeks, okay? I will draw the giveaway from all my Patreon paid members only, and I will just send it out that way so you don't have to comment, although I love if you make comments on the podcast so that I know that there are people out there watching. I am teaching at the Longmont Yarn Shop online on Zoom on Friday afternoons. I'm doing 3 Fridays. I've done 2 already. I had a huge group this last Friday, like 27 people, and that was for shawl shapes. But now coming up this week, I'm doing Latvian braids this Friday. So if you'd like to join me for that, it is from 5 to 7 Central Time and 4 to 6 Mountain Time. And you can sign up on the Longmont Yarn Shop website for that class. And I get my first Saturday off this Saturday in several months, which is lovely that I'm going to get a Saturday. I told Ross we have to do something fun. And then I'm going to teach for Yarn Fest on Zoom. So if you have not signed up for Yarn Fest and you want to go, they're the ones who got their venue canceled, and now they had to take them all to online. So I'm teaching 5 2-hour classes for them at the beginning of April, 3rd, 4th, 5th, something like that. Some are in the late afternoon and some are in the evening. And then there's 2 classes on Saturday. So for those of you that want to take class with me, I don't think it's as fun to take a class on Zoom as in person, but if that's the way you can do it, then that works out great. Other than that, I think that's all I have for you guys this week. I'm hoping that I was keeping it short and sweet so it wouldn't take me so long to edit. But you know me, I'm kind of a chatty Cathy. Sometimes I go on and on, so I'm just trying to keep it short. I'm gonna go finish this hat, and then I'm going to edit and get this up, and hopefully you will go over and watch Alea because we had a great conversation. And I've already done my interview for the next podcast too, so that'll be good. Bye, you guys. Love you. Come in for a hug. Reach out if you have any questions, but I'll see you next time.